All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Silvana. I've been wanting to talk to you for quite a while, so very happy to do it today. Just how are you doing? How are things down in Argentina right now?
Muchísimas gracias por hablar con nosotros hoy. Hace mucho tiempo que él quisiera hablar con vos, entonces él está bien emocionado para hablar con usted hoy. ¿Cómo van las cosas? ¿Cómo están las cosas en Argentina?
Wow, de Argentina sé un poquito de parte de mi familia, que está todo bien, pero yo estoy en México, en Tijuana, y nada, todo mucho mejor con el tema de la pandemia y todo eso, cada vez están saliendo y están mucho mejor, así que sí estaban un poquito atrasados a todo lo que tenía que ver con Latinoamérica, pues fueron como, tuvieron más restricción, entonces recién es como que se está abriendo todo otra vez.
Okay. Things have been a little behind in Latin America due to the pandemic, but things are starting to open back up now. She said her family is in Argentina, but she's currently in Mexico.
Oh, okay. All right. So what brings you to Mexico then?
Él quería saber por cuál motivo usted está en México ahora.
Estoy en México van a ser 3 años ya, en febrero. Vine a hacer un campamento de entrenamiento y decidí quedarme en el San Gym y aquí estoy hace rato ya.
So she has been in Mexico for about 3 years and she went there to train.
Oh, okay. All right. Very cool. So yeah, Silvana, again, appreciate the time so much. And obviously you got the second fight in the UFC coming up. But before we get into that, I love to hear nickname stories. So I want to start off with that. And your nickname is La Malvada, if I pronounce that correctly. And that's kind of translates to the wicked. Correct me if I'm wrong. Just curious the story of how this nickname came to be. Who gave it to you? Tell me about, the origin of your nickname.
¿Cómo era el origen de su apodo de la Malvada? ¿Cómo vino a ser? ¿Por cuál motivo fue elegido, etcétera?
Okay. Mi apodo de la Malvada salió de mi debut, la primera vez que peleé en MMA, y yo peleé contra la Barbie, entonces resurgió el apodo porque la Barbie no salió al segundo round, y con mi striking pude como derrotar a la Barbie, entonces era como la Barbie versus la Malvada.
Ah, okay. So in one of her first fights, she was fighting against the Barbie, and she beat the Barbie, and that's why they called her the Wicked One.
All right, good story there. Funny how those things work out and sticks. So it works well now. But of course, Silvana, as I mentioned, in the UFC now, and this was something that I personally feel, could have happened for you sooner, but hey, we got there at some point. And you were supposed to fight in Dana White's Contender Series in 2018, but that unfortunately did not happen. So just going back in time a little bit, how tough was it for you to kind of get through that period where, you missed out on that opportunity earlier?
¿Cómo era para vos cuando usted no podía luchar en el Dana White Contender Series en 2018? ¿Cómo usted lidió con eso?
Oh, sí, me puso muy triste porque en realidad era la meta que yo buscaba, pero luego estoy trabajando muy duro para poder tener otra oportunidad.
Okay. It was very hard for her because it was a goal for her, but she's been working very hard to get the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, all roads led here anyway. So that's very exciting. And unfortunately, though, the UFC debut did not go according to plan. But hey, got it out of the way. So with that fight against Lupi Godinez, just curious, what was the nerves and feelings like of finally getting that UFC debut? And this time around, you got to skip Contender Series because that's what you're supposed to do. But yeah, just what was kind of the feeling like of finally getting to the UFC?
¿Cuáles eran los sentimientos que usted se sentía cuando usted finalmente pudo entrar en la competencia de UFC y la lucha?
Me sentí realmente orgullosa, muy feliz de cumplir un sueño y fue como vivir, estar dentro de ese sueño, ¿no? Era algo que yo anhelaba desde que comencé a hacer artes marciales y de que surgió las primeras peleas de UFC, entonces me sentí muy, muy feliz.
She was very proud and very happy because it felt like she was realizing a dream. It had always been a dream for her since she had started fighting to get there.
Yeah, of course, I can imagine. And like I said, unfortunately, the fight didn't go your way, but you handled it very well in defeat. You know, I think it's important to be gracious in those kind of moments, especially when you reached your dream, like you said. So I imagine that the result of the fight, you know, is kind of only made, you know, the motivation all that much stronger and more fuel, you know, to go forward.
Él dijo que usted manejó la situación de perder muy bien, con gracia, y él dijo que debe funcionar más o menos como motivación para luchar y trabajar más duro.
Sí, así es. Las cosas quizás no salieron como yo quería. Hubiese sido perfecto ganar la pelea, pero también me sirvió mucho para saber cuáles fueron las cosas que no hay que volver a hacer y a trabajar muchísimo más duro, sobre todo en la parte mental, ¿no? Pues era algo que yo creo que los sentimientos fueron los que me jugaron en contra, ¿no? Muchas cosas.
Okay. So she said that yes, it absolutely pushed her to work harder and it did motivate her because things didn't go her way. However, she said that the mental component was extremely important for her. Perdón, usted dijo que con respecto al componente mental, era muy importante mantener psicológicamente las emociones, etcétera, regulados, etcétera, para que usted pueda luchar y ganar durante las luchas futuras, ¿correcto?
Así es.
Okay, so she said that it's really important for her to keep the emotions and keep the mental component in check so she can win future fights.
Yeah, absolutely. Just got to keep pushing forward, right? And that's what we're going to do for the next one. But it's interesting, Silvana, you know, most of your career has been fought at flyweight, 125 pounds. And for the UFC debut and the Contender Series fight, you were dropping back down to strawweight and did fight at strawweight, which is 115. Curious, what was the idea behind that? Why did you decide to go back down in weight?
¿Por qué usted eligió luchar en el peso de paja en vez de el peso de mosca?
Cuando llegué a Entran Gym, mi coach Raúl dijo que quizás podría tener mucha más ventaja en mi división de 115, pues porque todas en 125 tenían más alcance, eran más grandes, rebotaban más peso. En esa época no rebotaba tanto mi peso, entonces decidió cambiarme de división.
Dale. So she said that her coach told her that if she fought at the strawweight, that it would give her more advantages because the other athletes were bigger, taller. And so fighting at the strawweight would give her better advantage.
Okay. And so for this next fight with Vanessa Demopoulos, though, you're moving back up, right? This is a flyweight fight.
Para la lucha con Vanessa Demopoulos, usted va a luchar en esa clase de peso de mosca.
No, me dijeron que era 115 libras.
¿Con Vanessa?
Sí.
Oh, she said that they told her that it was going to be strawweight.
Oh, okay. All right. So the internet is lying once again. What is new? But that's all right.
El internet está engañando todo el mundo.
Sí, me dijeron 115. Pasa que ella debutó en 125, pero su división es 115.
Okay, so now she's fighting. Vanessa is fighting in the strawweight.
Okay. All right. That makes a lot more sense because Vanessa is generally a strawweight as well. So that I was kind of confused by the flyweight. So glad to clarify that. But just as for her as an opponent, Silvana, also new to the UFC, has only had one fight. This will be her second fight as well in the promotion. How much do you know about her and just kind of what are you expecting from her in this matchup?
¿Cuánto usted sabe sobre ella y qué usted está esperando en este combate?
Que es una rival dura, que es una rival que tiene muy buen jiu-jitsu. Considero que mi striking es muy fuerte, entonces podemos contrarrestar su jiu-jitsu y trabajar mi estrategia, ¿no? Sobre todo ya como es algo de estrategia, entonces yo tengo mi fuerte, ella tiene su fuerte y por eso va a ser un gran combate.
She said she knows that she's very strong and that it's going to be a hard fight, and she has her strengths, and and Silvana is going to strategize, but it's going to be a good fight because they both have their strengths.
Definitely very much looking forward to it. And, as I mentioned, Silvana, you've had plenty of experience, before getting to the UFC now, fought with some great promotions, such as Combate Americas, only just one fight there, but, good place to fight for. So I'm curious, what was the experience like getting to compete for them? Did you enjoy the brief time that you spent in Combate?
¿Cómo fue la experiencia de Combate Américas para usted?
Combate Américas, en realidad, cuando estuvo bien, peleé yo esperaba, cuando llegué a México, esperaba entrar tener una oportunidad, ¿no? En Contender Series. Luego buscamos eso, no se pudo dar en el primer año que estuve, entonces salió lo de Combate Américas y tuve una experiencia con una rival mexicana y era un volver luego de 2 años de inactividad. Entonces estuvo bien para volver a empezar.
Pardon. So she said it was good. Okay, so her experience was good, but her whole goal was to go back to era volver a
Contender Series.
To the Contender Series.
Right. Makes sense. And then before Combate, you had the KSW title fight with Ariane Lipski, which was, a very big fight at the time, especially for you. What was that like? Because obviously KSW is quite a big promotion in Europe. How do you look back on that moment?
¿Cómo fue su experiencia con el KSW con Ariane Lipski en la lucha de título?
Esa fue una de las mejores experiencias que tuve dentro del MMA.
It was one of the best experiences that she's had within that arena.
Perdía con tanta cantidad de público y con una rival tan imponente.
It was one of the best experiences because of the fierce rivalry and also because of the audience.
And I imagine, you wouldn't mind getting that fight back if possible. I know you're different weight classes, but a rematch maybe would be something interesting.
Sería interesante para ustedes luchar otra vez. O sea, una recompetición. Él sabe que ustedes son de pesos diferentes, pero sería interesante.
Estuvo buena la lucha.
It was a very good fight.
Yes, that it was indeed. But as for weird fights, Silvana, you did have a rather interesting one directly before your UFC debut against Gilsely Perea, if I'm getting that pronunciation correct as well. The referee kind of was being interesting and could have stopped the fight a lot sooner, I think. Just how do you tell me what was going through your mind in that moment? Because it was very bizarre, a very bizarre scene.
Durante su lucha con Gilsely Perea, antes de su debut en el UFC, hubo algunas instancias del referee haciendo cosas y un poquito raras durante su lucha. Cuando eso estaba pasando, ¿qué estaba entrando en su mente mientras esos momentos?
Por un lado, quería terminar ya la pelea, que ya sabes, veía como que ya no podía seguir y no entendía por qué el referee no paraba la pelea, pero no podía dejar de hacer mi trabajo.
So she wanted to get the fight just done as soon as possible, and she didn't understand why the referee kept it going.
Did you have any conversation with anybody after that?
¿Usted conversó con alguien después de ese incidente?
Con el referee no pude conversar, pero todos me dijeron que tendría que haberla parado antes.
Okay. So she couldn't talk with the referee, but she spoke with other people and they said that he should have stopped the fight earlier.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about that. So you just had to work a little bit harder for the win, right?
Sí, sin duda. Usted tenía que trabajar un poquito más duro para ganar.
But of course, Silvana representing Argentina proudly, and I think it's fair to say you're the most famous female fighter, coming out of the country. So, how important is it for you to, strongly represent your country when you're fighting?
Usted es considerada como la atleta, la luchadora más conocida de Argentina. ¿Cuán importante para vos es que usted representa su país?
Para mí es muy importante. Ser parte de la historia es lo mejor que me pasó. Lo quería lograr, así quería que fuera, y yo estoy muy orgullosa de representar a mi país.
She said she's very proud to represent her country. She always wanted to go. She always wanted to fight. So she really feels it's important to represent her country.
Yeah, and when you go back home, are you at that point where people kind of recognize you on the streets?
Hay gente que le reconoce cuando usted vuelve a su país.
Espero que sí. No volví
I hope so. ¿Usted todavía no volvió a Argentina?
No volví a Argentina, así que espero ganar esta pelea y poder visitar a mi país.
She says she hopes that she can win the fight and then return to her country. Entonces, hace 3 años que usted no volvió a Argentina, ¿cierto? So it's been 3 years since she went back to Argentina.
Oh, wow. Okay. I mean, I'm sure it's kind of harder to go back home at the moment with how the world is, but so you won't be going back for the holidays then, I imagine.
Entonces, ¿usted no va a volver a Argentina para los días de fiesta, o sea, la Navidad, Año Nuevo, etcétera?
No, porque estoy trabajando duro para esta próxima pelea.
No, she's working hard so she can win the fight.
Yeah, got to do what you got to do, right? And I've seen Silvana, I've seen you do kind of more things outside of the MMA world in terms of at least, expanding what you do in terms of, it looks like commentary and analyst work. So when did you start doing that? Because we've seen a lot more fighters get into it, but what kind of interested you in that realm?
¿Por qué usted comenzó a realizar, por ejemplo, realizar comentarios y reportaje con respecto al UFC y MMA? Porque él observó que usted está haciendo más fuera de competir y fuera de luchar. ¿Por qué usted se interesó en hacer eso y cómo va?
Disculpe, no entendí la pregunta.
Oh, perdón. ¿Por qué usted eligió perdón, solamente estoy verificando la palabra para confirmar. Usted está actuando ahora como comentarista y usted está haciendo más cosas fuera de competir. ¿Por qué usted decidió ser comentarista? ¿Por qué usted decidió hacer más fuera de la competición?
Ok, sí, comencé a ser comentarista de programa de UWC y me siento muy cómoda, me gusta, es algo que lo quería hacer, pues, lo quería hacer antes, pero no tenía la oportunidad y ahora se dio y me gusta mucho.
So she said that it's something that she's always wanted to do. She never had the opportunity before, and now she's doing it, and she really likes it.
Yeah, I mean, it's always cool to see, the fighters kind of do more than just fighting. So very cool indeed.
Es muy zarpado ver a los luchadores ser comentaristas y hacer cosas fuera de la competición también.
Gracias.
She said thank you.
And, of course, Silvana, I always like to go back as well to the beginning and hear from you guys and the stories kind of how you got into MMA, because that's always interesting and different for everybody. So for you, how did that begin? Where did the MMA journey begin for you way back when?
¿Dónde comenzó su camino de competir en MMA? ¿Cómo fue su camino de luchar?
Mi camino comenzó en Argentina, en Tucumán, con un curso que tomé, que fueron, como está lejos de Buenos Aires, tomé un curso y así comenzó como a gustarme el MMA.
Okay. So it started a long time ago when she took a course. It was pretty far away from Buenos Aires.
Okay. And what was kind of the Argentinian MMA scene kind of like when you were starting out fighting, you know, on the regional scene? And just, I'm sure it felt a lot different back then than it does now, right? Compared to all the places you've been.
Cuando usted estaba comenzando de luchar en MMA, ¿cómo fue cómo fue el escenario en Argentina? ¿Cómo fuera, o sea, cómo era para luchar en Argentina y competir en regionales, etcétera, en comparación con lo que usted está haciendo ahora?
Okay. Antes, la gran diferencia que había MMA amateur. O sea, en mi época yo salté directamente al profesional. En Argentina no había amateur.
So the biggest difference that she sees is that like now there's MMA amateur, whereas when she started, she went straight to professional. Vaquita, no. Perdón, mi gato está intentando escalarme. My cat is trying to climb up me. Her name is Vaquita.
Happens. It happens. Yes.
Los Michis quieren luchar también. Cats want to fight too.
Yes, they do. So that's interesting, Silvana. With the power of hindsight, do you wish you would have had an amateur career, or is it like, well, things worked out pretty well how they did?
¿Usted esperaba que usted tuviera una carrera de amateur antes de ser profesional, o usted está feliz cómo salieron las cosas?
No, feliz cómo salieron las cosas. Sabía que iba a ser un camino más corto, pero estaba muy lejos de las oportunidades.
She said that it was a shorter journey, but she was very far from opportunities.
Of course. And it's always funny, Silvana, I think, you know, when some people, you know, get into MMA and maybe it's unexpected from, you know, the family or whomever, but are people generally surprised when you tell them you're a fighter? I mean, maybe they were at first. Has that gone away now? Do people generally get surprised when you're like, yeah, I punch people in the face for a living?
La gente está sorprendida cuando usted les cuenta que usted es una luchadora.
Sí, me sorprende. Realmente no me creen, y cuando conozco gente que no es del ambiente de artes marciales, y no creen, como, ¿sí sos peleadora? Sí.
She said that a lot of people don't believe her, especially those who are kind of outside the MMA field.
Right. That's funny. Oh, and I mentioned the family there. Did they support you? Were they pretty behind you when you wanted to get into MMA?
Su familia le apoyó cuando usted les informó que usted quería ser parte del MMA.
Sí, porque mis papás vienen de las artes marciales, son maestros de artes marcial tradicional, Kung Fu. Entonces me dijeron que si iba a pelear, que entrene duro para poder pelear.
She said that her family was really supportive because her dad is a martial arts teacher, and they said if you want to fight, if you want to win, you're gonna have to work really hard.
Yeah, definitely always helps to have someone in the family who is participating themselves, so I imagine.
Siempre ayuda cuando hay un familiar que conoce la situación y que lucha también.
Sí. Es mucho más fácil, digamos.
It's a lot easier.
Yes, of course. Smoother transition. But all right, Silvana, I will leave you with one last thing here. Been great getting to chat with you. Outside of MMA, though, what are some other things you like to do? Do you have any hobbies or passions that you know, aren't related to combat? Just what are some other things you like to do or passionate about?
Además de luchar, ¿tiene algunos hobbies o cosas que usted le gusta hacer fuera de luchar y competir?
Me gusta mucho el rugby, pero le di muchos años de mi vida de competencia, entonces solo soy enfocada en el MMA.
So she played rugby for several years, and she gave a lot of years of her life to it, but now she's only focused on MMA.
Okay, interesting. Why did you kind of stop with the rugby? That's an interesting sport to participate in.
¿Por qué usted participó en rugby?
Porque conocí en la universidad.
She found out about it in ¿Perdón?
En la Universidad de Educación Física, Deportes, y el grupo de amigas me gustó, y trabajar en equipo, digamos.
So she found out about it in university, and she had some friends who did it, and she was just like, okay, I'm gonna do it. Her friends like it too.
Of course, always good to have some team sports, especially when you're growing up. But all right, Silvana, we can leave it off there. I appreciate you taking the time so much. Very excited for you to finally be in the UFC. So congratulations on, getting here, and congratulations on sticking with it. And I'm very excited for the next fight. Wish you all the best. I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias a ustedes. Estoy muy feliz de poder pertenecer a UFC. Y nada, vengo preparando con todo para mi próxima pelea.
She said thank you very much. She's really happy to be a part of the UFC, and she's also working very hard on her next fight.
Oh hey, you made it to the end. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. If you like this video and want to see more like it, give it a like and maybe subscribe if you haven't already. Until then, we'll see you next time.